So today I will tell you a story about a wolf that was chasing me for 38 days. And I will tell you the story about the Jello that is pretty tasty, and you guessed it right, the wolf eats the Jello in the end. I'm a facilitator. This means that I work with people and help them to cross boundaries. I help them to talk to each other and find common solutions, common pages, and to find new strategies to work together. I used to work in the education field with principals, pupils, parents, and teachers in order to create new paradigms of learning in schools. I worked with actors, stand-uppers, various performers, and helped them to be better and more creative by connecting better to their peers. I worked with CEOs and managers and helped them to develop new strategies, new company cultures, and also worked with teenage inmates who, due to the lack of emotion expressions, committed crimes eventually. We all do have something in common with them, and that's a little pinch of fear, the one that we always carry with ourselves when we want to make a final decision to act. And this is what I will define later as the Risk Jello. The second part of my life is obviously nature. And it all started when I was 14, I think. I started attending survival school, and a few years later I was capable of getting anywhere in the map during the nighttime, cold, wet, and with a huge backpack on my back. Later I went to the voluntary military service, and my skills expanded. And after that I just continued walking with friends, alone, and just spending time in nature. Nature for me is a very good teacher. You cannot predict nature. You cannot say to that teacher, oh no, I'm not going to do this or that. You cannot talk out your way out of the situation. You have to act. And sometimes the nature pushes you to act better and to do more than you think that you are capable of. So, with this note, this winter I decided to walk around Lithuania. I didn't manage to walk the entire distance. Eventually I had to end my journey. But 900 kilometers, solo hike, winter, with the best friend, 30 kilos backpack, that was pretty cool. But this journey started as one thing, as a feeling. I remember that it just appeared that I have to do this. I have to do something daring and something impressive for myself. And I knew that this was a hike. I knew that this was the nature. I wanted to be wild for some time. And I started thinking about that. But it's totally illogical. It's winter, it's cold. You have to get out of your work. You should better go to Egypt or somewhere else for a warm vacation. Where are you going? What are you doing? But I stick with the feeling because I trust my guts. And I thought that this will lead me somewhere. Eventually, when I was going to the start point, I wrote into my notebook one question. Who decided to go to this journey? Because I knew that this is not the rational me. This is not the voice in my head that decided. It was something deeper. Let me introduce you to the wolf. Well, at least he was here. And this is the view that I was enjoying pretty much every day. During the walks in very remote areas, the wolf tracks were constantly with me. Probably every day. And eventually, I started, to be really afraid of it. Because my mind was boiling, and my mind was saying, wolf went forward, and so he will come back. He will eat you. He's somewhere near you, probably right now. He's stalking around you. But the other thing that I noticed was that I actually didn't have that fear in the beginning. It was strange. And after a few days of seeing wolf tracks and starting talking to people about that, they all had the same story. Oh, wolves, aren't you afraid of wolves? Aren't you afraid of wolves? They will eat you. You are sleeping alone in the forest, have the fire always burning, do some stuff that will repel them. They will eat you. And so, eventually, I started thinking that maybe this is true. So many people are talking about that. And I started to be afraid of wolves. Let me introduce you to the Andrew. he will be the hero of the talk. And Andrew is a normal person who is living his life, and, well, he has everything he needs. He has family, he has a significant one, job, education, and he can do anything he wants. But at some point in his life, he might ask himself one question. Will I be happy in 5 years' time from now if nothing changes? Will I be happy if I don't dare to take action, to stand up in the meeting and say what I really think, to share my ideas that might shift the whole company's direction, to admit that I do not know something in order to learn and to create better work environment? In life, we tend to think about boxes. We think that, oh, I'm in a box and I have to crawl out of it. But there's no better limiting belief to have than to think that you do have a box. There are no boxes, there are no ceilings, there is nothing that can limit you. And the only thing that I can think of is the Jello, the Risk Jello, the one that is sticky, the one that is very hard to go through, and the one that you have to eat through your life. To illustrate that, there he is in the Jello. And this Jello is, well, pretty not unusual. It has peas in it. Who eats the peas and the Jello together, right? But these are the small things that you know that you actually should do in your life in order to be greater and to get out of that Jello. These are the things that you are afraid to do, but you know that they will help you eventually. The Jello actually appeared due to the help of your parents, your friends, your education, your career. Getting out of the job that you've been into for 7 years, but you are not really happy about that, is also a huge bunch of Jello. Thank you for comments. Our education that is saying you follow the lead, be in the line, it's also a Jello. People saying, hey, there are wolf tracks, they will eat you, are Jellos. And they are all scooping it up onto you. Remember your childhood. You could do whatever you wanted. You didn't question anything. You didn't have the Jello around you. You wanted something, you would just go and grab it. And right now you're thinking, oh, should I do this or shouldn't I? Yes? That's the truth. But, however, the Jello also has strawberries. And that's a very good thing to have when you're eating your way through life. Those strawberries are those little achievements that you constantly can have. And they can actually inspire you to maybe not entirely leave the Jello, but at least to move a little bit towards the ending, or maybe to the top of the jar and to open the lid. If you want to eat those small round things, you have to become a Pac-Man. And once you decide to do that, there is one thing that will actually happen to you. You will start feeling tension because you have just destroyed the harmony that you already had in your life. You didn't have the goal before and you thought, oh, everything is perfect. But suddenly you start thinking, oh no, I feel something inside me that's not working. I feel strange, I feel lost. My coach once said that that feeling means that in your head or in your body, some part of you knows who you can really be. And it knows what you can achieve very precisely. So you cannot understand that consciously right now, but just wait, be patient, move on, and you will eventually find out. So, where's the Pac-Man? There are monsters. And these are all those wolf tracks that I've been talking about. These are the people that are influencing you, and these are the small viruses that eventually creep into your head. One saying that, you will find wolves, and they will find you, and they will eat you. By the matter of fact, for the last 50 years, wolves have never attacked a human being in the whole Baltic region. I knew that statistics, but I was boiling with fear. So these are powerful, and eventually they get closer, if you don't do anything with them, closer, and they become you, eventually. And they start eating you. and you are defenseless. And eventually you end up with a huge pile of Risk Jello that you are afraid to eat, and you are being eaten yourself. So you constantly hit those wolf tracks. We are thinking, what will happen in the future? What will be in the future? Is this project that I'm working on is right? And eventually, you see who is making the wolf tracks. This is the 38th day, the last day of my journey. And during that, at some point, I felt a hit in my leg. I turned around and I saw that there's this little fella. Of course, when I took my camera, he just ran away. But I saw my wolf. I saw the thing that I was so anticipated for 38 days. But to be true, this is not a wolf. This is Laika. And the thing that I was so afraid for more than a month appears to be a Laika. That just blew my mind off. I was constantly afraid of it. And just like in life, we are also afraid of stuff, and eventually you see that that was not that afraid. That was not that scary. That was not worth to be afraid of. And for me, that was the opening moment. And in life, when you meet your wolves, you understand that the Jello, it also just melts, and it just runs out. And eventually you start going on your own, into your way. Not where the Pac-Man's track leads, or where the people want you to go. It's kind of a solitary way at first. It's a long road. It's a muddy road. And sometimes it's really hard to move. But you keep on moving, step by step, step by step. You will see more and more of those wolf tracks, but you know that if you keep on moving, you will see who is making them, and you will reach your goals. You might be planning that you will go during the daytime, or you will be during the nighttime. I've got you covered. But those plans that you make don't actually work in the real life. You can sit here and plan 5 years in the future, but everything can change with one new meeting, with one new person in your life. And then you start walking in the dark, or off-road, or somewhere else where you did not expect yourself to appear. Really life basics, when you start living your own life, the one that you really like, are redefined. You start making money from various new skills, and that's a little bit uncomfortable at first. You start making scratch ideas that always fail. But the fact that you are creating new ideas and working together with your co-mates helps you, well, get the water and be alive and keep that thing fueled, the one that's burning inside you. So, there he is again. If you find yourself stuck in the Jello, and I think that we all do have that moment in life, or that perspective through which we go, and we find ourselves stuck. We don't see no way out, maybe, or we are too afraid to go out and seek for it. I suggest you to go and meet your wolf. I dare you to go and find him. Because each one of you, I'm not really sure, each one of you has a little fire burning inside. The fire that is saying, stand up, walk to, raise your hand, suggest, inspire, go and do that. We all do have. And that's not the fear. The thing that you are observing is not you, actually. Fear is not you. You cannot bite your own teeth. You cannot taste your own tongue. You cannot see your own eyes. If you can see something, that's not you. And if you can feel the fear that is constantly appearing or disappearing, it's also not you. That little fire that's inside you, that is silently saying something to you. That's the real you. And I dare you to meet it and to meet your own wolf. Thank you. Yep.
Thank you very much. It was quite a journey, wasn't it?
Yes, it really was.
And speaking of all the Pac-Man and everything, so how do you level up?
How do you level up? You start trusting your feelings. And you start listening what they are trying to say to you. And eventually, as you gain experience with that, you start to trust them really better, and you start to understand them really better. But the main thing, I think, is not trying to rationalize the feeling inside, or say that, oh, I feel anger, or something like that. But you just try to feel it out, like a wild animal that you see somewhere in the distance, and you just, oh, that's the wild animal. What is he doing? That's the same with the feelings. And then a whole palette of different feelings will emerge, the ones that were always suppressed. And when they get released, you will be free.
Amazing. And do you plan on coming back and finishing the journey?
At some point in life, yes, but with no commitments right now.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.